but it's also there's a weird part of me as an old 42-year-old man that's kind of just it feels awkward to me to see like the death of exclusivity this way.
Yeah.
Like not with like a roar, but a whimper. It's such a like a sad state of method of like it's just I don't know. It's like, oh yeah, we're just like giving up on like exclusivity in the console wars. But the console wars have been around. Like the fanboys are out there still. Like
the fanboys are out there. The fanboys are always going to be out there. They're
always you know the Xbox X bots and the ponies, right? Is that the term? We can go that route.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is weird. I think it's I don't know to what extent like exclusivity is ever fully going away for real, but I think if you are looking at the way like the streaming wars have gone, and if you're looking at like how people are actually consuming media, and you're thinking ahead on that, I just feel like Microsoft's strategy makes more sense for that world than Sony.
It does. It really does. But like, if from a rational human standpoint, when you're thinking about a business standpoint, all of that makes sense. And Microsoft is really moving ahead of the game because they're doing things in the way that where everything is going. The gaming industry can't be the one that bucks the system about physical when everyone else has removed physical. When the music industry and the movie industry is pulling their movies and you can only find them on digital, then
gaming's the last one.
Yeah, gaming's the last one. So this argument about like, oh, Microsoft is the villain because they're removing physical media. Well, honestly, everyone has been doing it, and Microsoft is just following the trend. Yet you blame Microsoft for being behind on everything.
Sure.
They're ahead, but they're the scapegoats now as the villain of like, oh, well, they're the ones pushing this digital only. I'm like, buddy, Sony has a digital only version of their console, and their Slim is sold so that you can remove their drive.
How is that selling, by the way, the PS5 Slim? I don't know anybody that's gotten it, so I have no idea. Or it's not out yet, right?
The Slim? Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, I went around the corner. There's a shop called Game Exchange, and someone had already traded in a Slim. I saw a Slim on the like used.
Okay, so it did come out.
Yeah, it did come out, okay. And it also has a couple of graphical problems.
Oh, okay.
So it's I've seen people with the Slim complain about like certain games like locking up, or not really a heat problem, but like there might be something deeper. I don't know yet. It's a quiet thing. Like you don't see big news about it, but you hit certain forums and whatever, and you're seeing people complain about this.
Interesting.
The Slim model having issues. So
interesting.
I don't know, man. Like I don't know. It's a weird gaming future. We'll talk about it because I think it's interesting. I have never been all about PC gaming. Like I was for a very long time. I was a PC.
I mean, look at the cabinet behind you. That's the gaming that you came.
Yeah, with, right? But now with the release of the Steam Deck and these handheld PCs and all of that, I have really switched over to buy my games on PC because I can take it through multiple platforms like Microsoft wants you to, and also I get better deals, and I feel like they've done a better job of setting me up for digital than the consoles have, right? Like the fact that Sony has sold me a whole library of PS1 classics 3 generations ago, and I can't play them, even though I own them, but I can't play them because I have to have either a PS3 still hooked up to play some of those. Oh no, for sure. And I don't know who's typing because Facebook is weird. You have to like accept their thing. You have to go like a page or whatever. It tells you that at the top, but that's why you're showing up as Facebook user. But yes, you're absolutely right. What a console and a PC has become more and more vague, especially last generation when the PS4 and the Xbox One went to x86 architecture. All of it internally is still like an AMD chip with like set of memory and whatever else.
This generation with the handhelds, it closed that gap even more.
It's closed that gap even more.
I mean, let me pitch you this idea. What if Microsoft licenses out their platform and collabs with Valve for the next?
Oh yeah, that would be great. Or
sick.
Or not even that. They don't even have to go with Valve because the Valve would then be their digital a competitor. So what if they went with someone who's already got a big like Asus, like the next ROG Ally ends up being a Microsoft handheld.
I think the thing is, if Microsoft ends up putting its name its Xbox name, especially on a handheld, it's gotta work good. And Valve's
but
like
hear me out.
Far the most
You're right.
one out
it is the user friendly. But what if, like we said, these consoles they've got, these Xbox systems are already PCs? What's to stop them from taking a handheld like an ROG Ally that's got an AMD chip and memory and just writing it in OS?
What's OS is that part exactly. That's it. like writing a good mobile Windows system.
but they don't. They just have to write the same system they've already got on the Xbox.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be super interesting.
The hardware in the ROG Ally, the ROG Ally has the same hardware as an Xbox. Like, it is an 100%. AMD based system with memory and an SSD.
You sell that puppy for $300 in.
Yeah, and let's say, boo, you launch and you would have your entire library of Xbox One games already available to you because it is an Xbox. It is not a PS Vita where you have to have a Vita library, or it is an Xbox handheld with your entire Xbox 360 backwards compatibility, just like a regular Xbox, because the hardware has caught up. That the handheld CPU in those is strong enough to play those games now. That's it. I mean, that would win, and that would make it so that you go home and you dock it.
Isn't it funny how once again Nintendo was on the forefront of something, but in the weirdest way possible that makes it that they can't be part of the wave? You know what I mean? It's so crazy.
Well, it's the only. Let's roll these cards because you're absolutely right. They're not part of this wave because they chose not to be part of it.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
They keep like $199 console, but like we're not going to put any hardware behind it. Nintendo. Let's go. Let's kill this.
Hit it.
Welcome to the Mid-Geek Crisis. It is Thursday. And it is what it is. It is Friday Eve. It is the 15th of February already, and here we are. Hopefully, we have some more positive gaming news because this month or this year has just been like layoffs, and like studios closing, and like. What is it? I saw the news about Embracer. Did you see that one? Apparently, they had 20 games that had been canned.
One day, you and I are going to have a full episode dedicated to Embracer because that whole thing is so crazy.
I've never seen someone just like walk up to the casino table like they did and just like blow their load all over. Just like spend buying rounds for the entire house and then walk out with an IOU.
Yeah.
Like
IOU, big middle finger. Yep.
I just don't understand how that worked out. James, buddy, you are absolutely right. They are. They're fundamentally the same. Developmentally, they're not, right? So like Xbox, you've got a derivative of DirectX, and then the PS5, you've got their own API, their own graphical API that's running in the background. But fundamentally, you're absolutely right. That's why ports are so easy nowadays, right? And that was their entire reason for moving to the x86 platform, is because their developers were already making these games on PC. They realized with the PS3 how hard it was to write to something so like niche, and so they were making these multi-platform games that were running worse on their consoles. So they were like, you know what? Let's make it so that our system can be just as unilateral as everyone else's.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No problem, man. No problem. So we'll get this started off. Well, just right off the bat, the story of the the week, because we were all waiting for Microsoft to finally say something. They finally came out and had this like weird, like I was expecting a more of a marketing thing, like a more of a like, hey, we're having a talk, but just like podcast. We're just release a podcast and this is going to be what we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
It was kind of under the radar, but of course the gaming media knew when it was happening. When it hit, boom, everyone talked about it right up front. So there was no hiding from it. So I didn't get a chance to watch all of it from start to finish. I was kind of at work watching in and out of it. But so the rumors of Microsoft's death have been clearly exaggerated.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Xbox is not buried 6 feet
Not
underground.
buried 6 feet under.
Yeah,
as of yet. They are a strong platform with they brought their numbers out saying that they're still growing in their Game Pass.
I think 34 million Game
Yeah,
Pass
34
subscribers.
million Game Pass subscribers. So the rumor dispelling right off the bat, right, was is Indiana Jones and Starfield coming to PS5?
Right.
And definitively, it is not. At least at this time, at this moment of announcement, it is not.
Yeah.
All right. So that's one thing. That's a big deal for Microsoft. They can still kind of go into the holiday season to sell some sort of hardware.
Yeah.
And make it seem like they are still in the fight, which is good. But on the flip side, they did announce that 4 games are coming multi-platform, right?
Yeah, they did not announce which games.
They did not announce which games. There are 4. But the rumors and the leaks and everything, because Microsoft has just got like a problem with leaks in the past 6 months.
Yeah.
The rumors are it is Sea of Thieves, Grounded, Pentiment,
yeah.
Pentiment, and Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush, yeah.
So you've got 4 games there from 4 different. Are they all 4 of them different publishers? Because one of them is
I think they're 4 different developers. Yeah, because you've got Hi-Fi Rush is the Ghost of Tsushima, not Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
What's the Tokyo one that came out?
Tokyo. Ghostwire.
Yeah, Ghostwire Tokyo.
Ghostwire Tokyo.
That was the Hi-Fi Rush one. Grounded is Obsidian.
Grounded is Obsidian.
Sea of Thieves is Rare.
Yeah.
And then
that studio, I don't know where.
we're not getting into that. That's for another day, my guy. Rare. And then Pentiment, which I think was that was a debut game, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that.
Microsoft. We're going to try to keep this short, but I'm going to rant 1 second about this. Rare, Microsoft. I don't understand you guys. Like, you had Phil Spencer walk up on stage multiple years in a row with a dang freaking Battletoads shirt.
Yeah.
Like, here's this giant franchise you own. Everyone wants it. Everyone's gonna give me a good Battletoads game. Yeah. And then what you give us is like a beat 'em up that was like kind of a funky art style, which I don't hate the game, but it just felt so $39.99 value. When this is a franchise that Rare, people have been waiting how many years for a new Battletoads game, and this is what you give us, and then it's like, oh, see, people don't want that.
So I will say this: I think the number of people actually waiting with bated breath about Battletoads pretty small, and I think Microsoft knows that.
But I think it's got some sort of brand recognition.
It does. It does.
You could have revived it with
the thing is with that, right? Is Rare has been riding on brand recognition since 2006. Sea of Thieves is doing well, but I don't think people think of that as a Rare game. I think people think of it as the pirate game. The last big Rare game that I remember is Viva Pinata.
Man, that's such a good game. Why haven't we gotten a new version of that?
I would love to get a new version of Viva Pinata.
We've got Pokemon selling like wildfire.
Dude,
just give us.
Hit me with a new Viva Pinata for
give
sure.
Me a new that game early on in the relationship with my wife. I remember putting on the sequel to that, and that was an instant fall asleep on the couch for her game.
Dude, yeah.
I would put it on, and she would just be like, "Oh, you're gonna play the Pinata game, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Good night."
Goodbye.
It's just I was like, all the little sounds it would make is just like the little fuzzy worms and all that.
Yeah, that is the right question, Tommy.
I don't know, man. Tommy, it's such a weird thing. It is I'm not saying the franchise has a massive amount of money and recognition, but it is a name that has you can pull nostalgia and really sell it. There's just something you could do. The moment they announced who was it? Zit in Killer Instinct. I think he's one of the fighters in Killer Instinct. Everyone was like, that's pretty cool, man. Look at that art style. Look at that cool realistic art style from Battletoads. Is that what we're gonna get for the next game? Let's see that. No, that's not what we got. And then they just I don't know. Microsoft seems to fumble the ball with their franchises. And then this news that came out today just felt very, I don't know. I'm not saying they gave up. You're right. They're still in the fight. But
so let's pretend you and I had not talked before the show.
Yeah, no, go for it.
What was your take on it? What was your take on it? Kind of.
So again,
what you had heard coming out of it and why they even did it.
Tommy, you didn't miss much, but from what it was sitting on a stage, 4 chairs. You had Phil Spencer talking, and he just kind of laid it out there and really sounded positive. He was really sounding positive in everything he was saying. He really threw the numbers out there about the sales.
Not just Phil Spencer, but also Matt Booty.
Yeah, Matt Booty was out there too.
Boy, right? Matt Booty.
Yeah, Matt Booty was out there, and it just it felt very post Iraqi war. Like there's nothing to see here. There are no WMDs. There are no like mission accomplished banner up top.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of like when like you're in youth group and like the youth pastor has to come out and be like, all right, this person we are not dating. We just know each other. Like it was a very like, we're sitting down and we're telling the kids their imaginations are running wild. We got to tamp this down. Let's calm down.
Yeah. But at the same time, they're getting dinner later. Like it's just
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Like that's my problem. Like Microsoft, look, if you go back like 100+ episodes, I called. Remember about the second and a half year with the Switch. Remember, there was like kind of this weird relationship with Microsoft and Switch.
Oh, yeah.
They even had like a commercial with like Minecraft and Switch and like.
Well, that's when the rumors started that Game Pass.
Yeah,
like those rumors have been around forever.
I called it. I was like, "Where is Game Pass? Bring me Game Pass on Switch," and Microsoft would own. Because you were talking about a service that is on another console, but I would still be paying you, Microsoft, money to play your games on a different console. Sure. Give me Game Pass. And it didn't happen. Instead, they went streaming, but they never released a streaming app for the Switch. And like I feel like Microsoft is just gun shy about doing what they want to do. They want to go all digital, but they don't. They want to go all digital. And everyone knows it because all of these rumors of them closing like divisions of them, pulling stuff off the shelf and all that. And they're letting the media write the stories for them instead of them getting in front of all of this and going, we are going all digital because of this. This is the reasons.
This is so interesting though, right? Because like, why are they not coming out and saying that? It's because that was the lesson they learned 10 years ago when they said, hey, we're going all digital. And everyone was like,
no! And then everyone canceled their pre-order and bought a PS4, and then they lost that console war. All of that. I get it. I get it. But now, like you've got 35 million subscribers on Game Pass that are all digital. At this point, like just call it.
So
call it.
It's interesting. I think some of what you're like identifying here is like this is kind of the Phil Spencer experience, right? Like the Phil Spencer experience is like a dude who like clearly is running a business that he wants people to think of as pro-consumer, right? Which is like a really hard thing to sell from inside of anything Microsoft. And like he does that by wearing gaming shirts that you own at home with a denim jacket and talking a lot about like your choice as a player and what you get to do, right? Like,
hey, fellow youths,
anytime, etc. Right? That's the Phil Spencer experience, and I think since he came aboard, I've genuinely felt like Xbox has made more pro-consumer decisions than not, right? Especially when you compare them to like like an Apple or a Sony.
Yeah.
But at the same time, right? Like that like, I mean, the more you kind of respond to the public, the less you're doing what you say, what you're saying, which is coming out and just doing it, right? Because you're being sensitive. You're like kind of tiptoeing a little bit. I don't think any other company in this generation, any other gaming company, gives us this podcast today. Nintendo and Sony are not sitting down to dispel some rumors like this.
Yeah, no, but
that's never happening.
But we also have to talk about the fact that like, I don't want to like I hate talking about Microsoft like they're being picked on. Like they're not the bully. Microsoft is like clearly been the bully company.
They do not need any white knights, right?
They don't need white knights, and I'm not going to white knight for them. But I will say this: Microsoft has had a really bum rap when it comes down to the gaming media and the way that the media really has like talked about them for the past like 4+ years. From the Xbox One onward, like they're just they tend to be the whipping boy when it comes down to the companies of gaming. Like, oh, here comes Microsoft and their zany way of doing things, and like it's just like they're not doing anything different than anyone else, right? Like they are doing things more pro consumer than anyone else, but yet they're always seen as losing. They're always the loser. Yeah. They're always like, but yet Sony won't give anyone anything. They won't give you a dime back. Again, what you bought, you spent how much money on PS1 classics on your PSP and your Vita and your PS3? Here, you can go play those old consoles. What, Yellow Ring of Death? Too bad you can't play those. By the way, subscribe to our new service, and you can play a select few PS1 classic titles, but you can't buy them and own them.
Yeah.
What the hell? Yes, yeah. Sony, woo, PS5, that's the way to go. Like, dude, we were talking before the show.
Yep.
This week alone, they have announced that this is kind of they're going into their later years.
That's what Sony was saying about the PS5.
Sony was saying that the PS5 is now in their later years. But yet, here we are. Can we count in one hand how many PS5 exclusive games we got this generation? Not that you could play on PS4, on PS5 only. And I'm not talking about indie games, because indie games will always be like, well, if you're an indie developer, you're going to release your game and it usually comes out just on the console like that at the moment, unless it's a digital title, which will also work maybe on PS4. My point is, only PS5 only games. God of War Ragnarok was not one of them, because
some of the ones that came out early because they made use of hardware were right. They're trying to show it off. So like Astro's Playroom,
right? But I mean, that's
Souls was not on PS4.
Well, I mean, but that was on PS3 and it's also a remaster. So
Returnal,
yeah, okay. Returnal's one of them. That I would count Returnal as one of them for sure.
And like the new Ratchet and Clank, I think, but it's not many, right? It's not. It's like it's probably like 6 or 7 at the most that people actually played.
Yeah. Like 6 or 7 titles. So hello. 6 or 7 titles. Does that like inspire the winner of a console generation?
Does that sound like a generation period?
It doesn't. It just sounds yet again like a plus. Yeah. It is PS4 Pro.
That's such an interesting, like, this is such a weird generation. This console generation generally is just not.
I mean, we could blame COVID, right? We could say that, it launched, but then you shouldn't have launched.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, because along with that, like, latter stage of the life cycle news, Sony also announced that they don't have any like first party titles planned for next.
Yeah, right. So let's I'm gonna see if I can pull up a story on that one, because that one was an interesting story altogether, right? First parties, right?
Yeah, so I'm trying to pull it up here.
Yep, I found one. Polygon had one.
Okay, yeah. Because we're getting Final Fantasy VII Rebirth this year, right? And then we're getting some new kind of like third-party, second-party-ish tent poles, like with like Stellar Blade and Ronin, the stuff we talked about at the State of Play.
Yep.
But between like now and March 2025, no major first-party games. And I think it's interesting because like this is the kind of thing that Xbox has been like pretty well roasted for over the past like couple years, about having a weak first-party showing in different years since the launch. Xbox hasn't had a year like this. This is rough. This is weird.
I mean, to play devil's advocate, just for Sony's sake,
sure, yeah.
is Microsoft really hasn't had an exclusive either. Like they had, Halo Infinite came out on Xbox One, right? Xbox One X. Like you could play it on Xbox One X, I think.
I would have. I don't remember.
I don't remember. I think you can. What else? So we had Redfall,
Forza 5, and Forza Motorsport. I think we're only on Series X and PC.
Yeah, yep.
I mean, I think the thing with that is Sony's generations right now, because they aren't Microsoft's, where they have like a connection with Windows and PC and all these other things.
Right. So you really don't have another way to play this game.
Is much more like the traditional kind of console generation. They're still in that older model. Whereas talking about like, is there an exclusive in the Microsoft model is a little bit more complicated, because it's like they've been sort of shifting in this open, like ongoing platform since the Xbox One. Right? Because like the Xbox One X to Xbox Series S jump is like not that big.
You know, console wars aside, the Xbox One to now generation with Microsoft has been legitimately one of my favorites. Outside of not getting like the exclusives like we used to get on the 360, it's been one of my favorites because of age, my age, right? Like it has been one of those like digital give me games for gold for a long time on a month-to-month basis. It has been the Game Pass generation now, so like a Tuesday rolls around, I'm tired from work, I turn on my console and there's a new game waiting for me that I could download at any moment in time. All of that has been more catered to someone like me. And
maybe this is why it's not picking up in the media like that, because Xbox, it's the console for dads. It's not like the line you want to go with.
It's like when you're rocking New Balance, rock an Xbox. Like,
are you really into Maker's Mark? You're gonna love Xbox.
The Maker's Mark. Like, what's going on? Yeah, man. Like, that's what it is. You're right. It's like it's the dad. It's the I'm off of work.
It's the console for Presbyterians.
Yeah. Like, oh man. Ouch. Ouch. Xbox, when you only do missionary.
I mean, look, I feel like in a lot of ways, right? That's Xbox. Like, there's just like, we get the job done.
Oh man.
Look, I mean, that's what it is.
That's what it is, man. Like, and like, I know that Sony likes to be spicy about it all. Like, they're the cool hip guys.
Yeah.
Mark Cerny walking up there with his like, Andy Dick glasses, telling me about the speed of the SSD,
looking like he stepped off of Deus Ex.
Yeah, I just like, man, the dude. I don't understand. I just don't get how Sony can still pull the old Japanese man style of like marketing and still be seen as the cool guys in the console war.
It is like, interesting, right? I think part of it is like Sony, ultimately, they still have like the default status, right? Like if you're going to have a console, like people still think PlayStation before they think anything else. And its install base reflects that.
Which is so weird to me because Sony was not like, again, PlayStation, yes, PlayStation is a console that, we all bought. Like if we got one like in 94 or whatever, that's cool. But Sony was like CDs and like Walkman and like Discman for me, TVs. And then like Microsoft was Windows, which meant that I would play games on my PC. So like when Microsoft came out with a gaming console, it felt very natural to me. Like, oh, Xbox, DirectX. Oh, I get it. Oh, I get it. That felt more gamer connected than Sony did. But Sony really benefited from Sega dropping the ball.
They did, and it's also just PlayStation, right? Like it's not
PlayStation
Sony, like,
was that like, brand recognition that is PlayStation.
And
there's
that's
no hate.
The case.
No hate. PlayStation brand is a brand. Like it is you slap the PlayStation logo on anything, it'll sell. I mean, people are buying freaking $200 PlayStation tablets right now that can only play streaming games. And
in car terms, right? Like it's like, a Dodge Neon SRT from 2004 is cool. You can soup it up. It's great. You're always going to want the Toyota AE86 instead, right? Like you're always going to want the one that was in the freaking anime. And that's what PlayStation is, right? Xbox is the Dodge Neon SRT. Like
it is,
it's
man.
Just as fast. It's fun. You can have a good time with it, but it's not the MR2, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's not. It doesn't have the and this is kind of a weird conversation because we had kind of this conversation with the Hideo Kojima thing.
Yeah.
On some of the American developers versus Japanese developers.
Yeah.
There is a layer of like Japanese mysticism when it comes down to like this, like gaming is better from Japan. Gaming has a different vibe when it's a Japanese developer, and Sony is a Japanese company.
Yeah, there's like a halo effect there, and so is Nintendo, right? And they have
Nintendo,
and
so you've got like, oh, gaming comes from Japan. But then like an American company like Microsoft feels out of place within this entire like dichotomy of gaming. But like, it's so weird to me because yet again, people have been playing PC games on a Microsoft system way longer. We've been doing MS-DOS for years. Like, I don't know. Again, Microsoft, their Xbox brand is there. So to answer your question on a roundabout way, I feel like Microsoft is just like going through the paces, trying to get damage control but like they're still doing what they're going to do. I don't know if anything they said right now at this whatever press podcast conference thing that they had is going to outlast a year. I think in 12 months, come back 12 months from now, come back February of next year, and let's see how much of what they said really mattered. Because
I think to that point, something Phil Spencer said earlier on in the podcast today was pretty interesting, where he was talking about like basically he was like, we have a plan for 4 games to go multi-platform. There are no more games that we are currently planning on like going multi-platform. We are going to learn from this, right? And that's the language that I think that we should be paying attention to. What I think is happening is we have 4 games, 2 of which are live service games that, like you said, have probably tapped out their full player base on Xbox.
I think they've outlived their Xbox
interested in like expanding that player count.
And people should go play Grounded. People should play Sea of Thieves. Those 2 are great games. They are really cool games. And again, this is back to that conversation. These are 2 games that are soft locked, because they are on PC, but they are soft locked to Xbox. And there's so many people out there that are really sleeping on these 2 franchises. Sea of Thieves just did their 3-year anniversary. They've got so much content, and it's a really good mass multiplayer online pirate game.
People are always streaming it. Like there's always Sea of Thieves on Twitch, right? Like it's one of those games, and
it's one of those games that people should play, but it's locked to a console that apparently install base is like a quarter of what Sony has.
I think that's the thing, right? Is I think like when Phil Spencer says we're going to learn from this, he is saying that like, yeah, we'll see how this goes. Like we are choosing these 4 games very specifically for specific reasons to test this idea out and to see if it works for what we want it to work for. I think honestly, like I know people are annoyed with like kind of how corporate it sounds, which I'm always like, why are you annoyed with how corporate it sounds? It is.
There's no one more corporate than Microsoft.
What are you talking about, guys?
What are you talking about?
But to me, it was like it was a conversation that never would have happened if a bunch of weirdos like us on the internet didn't freak out like for the last 2 weeks about like whether or not something was gonna blow up and they were gonna stop doing like hardware. And so they came out like, Jesus.
And they did announce that they're working on some sort of new hardware.
Yep,
right?
they did.
And just like we said at the beginning of the show, before we even rolled the credits, we were talking about like what the trajectory of gaming in the past, I want to say 24 months, right? Like Steam Deck and onward has really changed, right?
It really has.
Linux is a viable gaming platform.
Do you know how many people have a Linux PC right now that they would never have considered like installing Ubuntu on their computer?
Yeah. Tons of people are actually using lower power machines or they're buying mini PCs, and loading a Linux operating system and loading the Steam OS kind of like hack kind of way to get it going just to build a Steam box to like plug up to their TV. And sure enough, you boot up that PC and it boots up almost instantly and you get a full on console like experience.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's what people want. Yep. So Microsoft, buddy, we've had 2 generations of systems that are x86. Mm-hmm. You've got an operating system that runs your Xbox hardware already running on an x86 box. You've got handhelds that are running AMD x86 hardware. Just load your Microsoft OS on a handheld made by someone. Go to Asus, go to MSI, go to Steam, go to any one of them and say, we want to make an Xbox edition of your ROG Ally. And basically it is the same hardware that you get with the Ally, but it is like BIOS firmware locked. You hit the button on that thing and you get an Xbox splash screen. And I feel like
if you approached that, if Microsoft and like Asus approached like Radeon, like AMD, and was like, hey, we want to collab on this machine, like it'd be amazing.
Yeah,
it'd be incredible.
There's not even it could be an email at this point because everything. It's like
that's true.
It's like you've already got everything you need. Like the entire framework is there. Yeah. You tear open an ROG Ally, and like I said, it is a Radeon Z1 Extreme running Zen 4. So like we've already got hardware that's running the same exact like. Even more Zen Core, like the newer generation of the Zen Core than the Xbox Series X is. You've got a processor that clocks up to 5 gigahertz at the moment. You've got 16 gigs of memory and you've got user expandability of SSD. So, like, and you've got a layout. I mean, the buttons and layout are the Xbox layout. A, B, X, Y, triggers. All you need is an Xbox home button on the thing, and that's it. I mean, when I boot up Game Pass on my ROG Ally, it is like I'm holding an Xbox handheld. I am playing an Xbox in my hand. So, like, Microsoft, just can do it already. Just and if they were to beat Sony, they just need to beat Sony to that. They're already realizing the trajectory of the Steam Deck and these ROG Allies and these handhelds. Well, and
if you think about it from the perspective of like Sony already sunk a lot of R&D into Portal, and Portal,
but that's where Sony
Portal, but Portal's not going to be anything like this, right?
Portal. I can't play Can I play my PSP games on it? No.
Yeah.
Can I play my Vita games on it? No. So it's a handheld that doesn't play any of my old handheld games. All right. Yeah, right. Yeah,
Phil, if you're watching,
yeah. Let's do it, buddy.
Joe says it can be an email. We can draft the email.
It can be an email. I'll draft it. I'll chat GPT that sucker.
No. Copilot, not chat GPT.
Copilot. Yeah, Copilot. Copilot, buddy. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm serious. Like, Microsoft, you are so gun shy about losing a war you've already lost. So, I mean, again, when Pedro was on the show, we always talked about how Microsoft was fighting a different war. Microsoft was taking this battle in a very different direction with Game Pass and the hardware. I mean, it was just already going a completely different direction. They knew exclusives weren't selling. They were like, let's throw everything at Game Pass, digital, this and that and the other. While Sony was still like, hey guys, come and buy our DVD box and our exclusives and go buy your game at GameStop. That's not where the gaming trajectory was going. So, like, hey, you're already seeing gamers buy these handhelds. I mean, this market of like these handhelds with the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck have exploded.
Yep.
They've exploded. People are buying these things as an extension of their PC hardware. But guess what, guys? Your PC is running Windows. Just load Microsoft OS, whatever, the Xbox OS on that handheld, and you've got yourself a Xbox handheld.
Yeah. I'll buy whichever one has Slack instead of Teams.
Well, I mean, what's so funny is Microsoft owns Teams, right? But like, you can do Discord on Microsoft Xbox. So I'm no one is more fragmented like at Microsoft like Google is, right? Like we'll do Google Hangout, but we won't really use Google Hangout for video. We'll use something else. We'll have 3 different products that do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they own Skype, right?
Yeah.
Microsoft owns Skype, but I mean, talk about a dead product there.
Well, I mean, if you've never seen the Brennan Lee Mulligan as the CEO of Skype during COVID sketch, it's extremely funny. It's extremely good. Check it out, Brennan Lee Mulligan, CEO of Skype.
CEO of Skype. Yeah, let's see if I can find it. We'll throw a link up. But yeah, no, I get it. I mean, that talk about it losing the market like there. That's the same example to like Google Wallet and like Apple Pay. It was like you had the product out there already, but yet you let Apple come in and like brand it. Yeah. So funny.
I'll tell you what. Cursed product ideas. I think that's a good list idea for a video, maybe for us later on. I feel like we've got plenty of cursed product ideas that we could surface here if we needed to.
Microsoft, a new Xbox handheld powered by Teams. It's like we use Teams at work, and so like all of the sounds Teams has, the phone call sound and like the messaging like sound and all that. At this point. Oh, it's super triggering. Like especially when I'm a week on call, like that's the sound that my phone makes when I'm getting a work phone call, even though like it's so weird. So yeah, it totally like I have a friend who likes to find random new ways to message me via random Google chat.
A friend indeed.
That's
I'm lucky enough to work for a Slack Zoom company, which I mean, both of those have their drawbacks, but God.
Does Slack have a built-in video chat yet?
It does. It has like a huddle feature. It's not nearly like no one uses it. At least
which is so funny. So you're using Zoom to do the same thing that's already built into a product that you're already using.
Because Zoom has better like Google Calendar integration, right?
Oh God! So funny. My wife's school, uses Office 365, right, for a lot of their products, but then a lot of their backend, the classroom app that they use for all of it is Google based. So they use Office 365 and Google as both. And I'm just like, dude, like, why? Like, what is like so weird?
Yeah, my company tried piloting a video chat service to replace Zoom that was like from a local company here in Central New York, as like a startup, and we gave it the old college try. But boy, let me tell you, video chat local startup, not a reliable experience. I hope they do. I hope they do well. Keep on trucking, guys.
Yeah, big meetings use it, but I don't like Zoom. To me is so like, have they fixed their security? Last time I checked, their security was super broken, where people were able, like, if you had like
the security gotten a lot better because my company does a lot of like what do you call it? Freaking PHI, because we work with like a lot of like healthcare and like organizations. We still have to be like, smart about it, but it's gotten better. I don't know how it compares to what Teams do though.
No, well,
anyways,
Teams is broken. As a matter of fact, for the past 3 months, I've had on my work machine, I've got Teams and new Teams.
Yeah.
So it's got like a new flag on it, and like if you accidentally click on the old icon, it tries to load the old version. It's like, hey, I see you're using the new one. Do you want to continue using the new one? I'm like, just make this Teams. If not, just like let me delete one of them.
That's crazy. That's some new Coke shit.
Yeah, it's like it has both. It's like, do you want to try the new experience? I'm like, God, just make it or don't make it. Quit making me beta test your crap. Because share docs on both. We use Office 365. Yep. It's so weird.
All right, man. We got to stop talking about Teams and Slack. That is death.
But I mean, that's the Microsoft conversation, right? That's their entire problem. Man. There was another big piece of news out there.
Well, I know we were talking about the X-Men.
Let's show this trailer, because
Renaissance.
I woke up to this and was just like, what? And I knew it was coming, and it got delayed, and it got delayed, and it got delayed. And I was
hype about it, man.
I was pretty hype about it. I
wasn't hyped before I saw the trailer, but I saw the trailer and I was pretty hyped. So I'm excited to.
Yeah, so let's play this here, and I will share this tab. There we go. Oh, boom.
Finale of X-Men next Saturday morning. Check your local listings.
I'm grateful to have the chance.
I don't remember this being the end to X-Men, but maybe it was.
I am proud of you all.
You could tell me it was. I would have no idea.
Yeah, it's all on Disney Plus.
My frontal lobe was like mush at that point in my life when I was watching this. It looks like visually.
We have to stay vigilant.
The art style is better though.
With his dream.
Yeah, it's crisper. It's the spirit of it, but it's so good.
Yeah.
No matter how dark it is, we must believe in each other.
God, I love this era's
together as a team.
Jeez, Bub, keep buzzing in my ear.
Bub. They've got Mohawk Storm.
Mohawk Storm is sick.
That theme music, man.
I know, it's so good. It's the best.
Look at it. He charges him up. He freaking charges him up.
That rules.
X-Men.
Oh my God, to me, my X-Men. I was like,
Rogue comes in and just chucks Beast.
Yes. Oh, good.
Magneto.
The last will and testament of Charles Xavier.
Look at Cyclops looking like he's one of the BK kids there.
Now belongs to me.
Yeah, I'm hyped, man. I'm hyped for this.
So hyped. Yeah, I like, man. Geez, I don't know if you follow X-Men in the comics.
Yes.
So X-Men in the latest like story arc has been kind of like a cool but bleak.
Real bleak.
The X-Men. If anyone isn't following Marvel, because most people follow, they're like, everyone's a Marvel expert until they aren't, because everyone's a MCU expert.
Yeah, there's movie Marvel and there's comic.
There's movie Marvel and there's comic Marvel, and movie Marvel takes from comic Marvel.
Yeah,
and it gives back to comic Marvel by setting status quo, right? Like, and one of the Right. And so from a business standpoint, Marvel has there are two big franchises for the past like 10 plus years that have really gotten the proverbial shaft from Marvel. And it's been Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And it's been X-Men. It's two franchises that are hugely popular, but they are not allowed to like be their main story arc or where the public is being pushed to, because they did not have any form of movie media, and because for a very long time both of those were owned by Fox. After the Fox merger, purchase, whatever, they were allowed to kind of like bring that back into the comic like front end. For a very long time, X-Men was just kind of like a story that was very bleak, and then the recent story arc, the whole Krakoa era.
Yeah,
so
the whole and like Hellfire Gala, like
the Hellfire Gala. So if anyone's kind of a quick rundown of the X-Men, so the X-Men, all mutant kind came together, and they kind of moved to this island called Krakoa, and Krakoa has this, or I say had in past tense, this tree, the island itself was pretty much like a mutant, right? I think that's the best way to put it. And the way it worked out, that is Krakoa allowed it that mutants were immortal. Is kind of the best way to put it. If you were a mutant and you like logged your backup, I guess, at Krakoa, you showed up to Krakoa, became a citizen of Krakoa, they kind of like they dipped you in the Krakoa.
Well, it was like the whole Mr. Sinister
coding thing, right? Yeah, that wasn't going to go bad, and
yeah.
So and just to sidetrack, all the villains became good guys for a while. You literally had Apocalypse, Mr. Sinister, Magneto, all of the villains that were the staple X-Men mutant villains were all good guys living on this island, because when you really kind of come down to it, mutants, their big fight was that mutants should be superior and should live together and be as one. And so they kind of came to a common ground. Professor Xavier, Magneto, all of them were like, they came to the table and were like, look, Apocalypse, you want mutants to rule, right? Well, we don't want to kill everyone, but how about we just rule in a different way through superiority? And so Apocalypse was like, okay, sure. And then you had Mr. Sinister go, well, you need not yet. We'll get there because we're leading up to that. Then we had people like Mr. Sinister, who's like, well, I'm a doctor that I'm a mad scientist that likes to experiment on mutant kind, but if we can my whole purpose is to extend mutant life.
Right.
So let's do this. And so sure enough, of course, there was always sorts of shenanigans going on in the background or whatever. But the point was that mutants couldn't die.
Yeah.
If you were associated with Krakoa and you were out on a mission or whatever, and someone killed you, you literally would just like all of a sudden wake up and your body would you just walk out of like this water at Krakoa.
I just want to say, like, this whole storyline. So I recently got back into comics because of Marvel Snap, and I was just enjoying the artwork in Marvel Snap so much, and like the themes, that I was like, I got to go back and check in on what we're doing. And the Krakoa like X-Men storyline has been by far my favorite thing to catch up.
It is a wild idea.
It's doing so many interesting things with the characters, how characters interact with one another that are so different from what I was used to back in the 90s and the 2000s. I absolutely love it. That and like Midnight Suns have been my two favorite Marvel things for the past few years. It's really interesting.
So again, Marvel has the capacity to do good with their comics, which they haven't really, but Krakoa has been polarizing for a lot people, especially older fans. Like older fans really hate it because it is breaking some of the rules.
Well, for the exact reason I just said, right? Like it's extremely unconcerned with like your feelings about the canon, right?
Right.
Like it's not worried about it.
Here's a fun canon thing, right? Wolverine. If you are a fan of Wolverine and you know any sort of expert mythos with beyond of the origin of Wolverine is a mutant that was born with a healing power. He is over 200 plus years old. At some point in time in like the late 60s, early 70s, he was captured, brainwashed, and then infused with adamantium, and which messed with his brain and made him wipe his own healing factor, basically wiped his own memory because it was too traumatic. So his own healing factor healed his brain by messing with his memories. So then later on in the 90s, you had a whole arc where Magneto ripped all of his adamantium out of his body, and then you come to find out that he always had claws. He didn't even know about it. He had bone claws. And then at some point in time, he gets his adamantium back. But the idea was adamantium was always a very hard to get substance in the Marvel universe. Well, in the Krakoa world, Wolverine dies a few times in this story arc, and he wakes up in Krakoa, and the moment he wakes up, he is reinfused with more adamantium. They've got a molten bath of adamantium ready just for Wolverine when he died. I'm what? This traumatic experience that infused him, he now has to relive it every time he dies.
Yeah. I mean, if there's one thing that Marvel writers love doing, it's making sure they find new ways for Wolverine to suffer.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Your favorite.
Yeah. And also one of the other big story arc points was that Beast is just like a straight up villain.
Yeah. Which is super interesting, I think. Right.
So
heartbreaking if you love Beast.
Yes. So what's interesting is, if you're not familiar, again, old 90s fans would know this. There was a story arc way back in the day called Age of Apocalypse, which was kind of like an alternate universe. It was a moment where there was some time travel shenanigans, and then the son of Professor Xavier, Legion, ended up killing Professor X, which caused like a time rift and a change, which made it so that Magneto was the founder of the X-Men. And so this whole thing where Apocalypse ruled and humanity was destroyed, and anywho, the point is in that story arc, in that timeline, in that alternate universe, there was a Beast. His name was, they called him Dark Beast. He actually was physically darker color tone, and he was an evil individual. Well, at some point in time within the past few years, past 5-10 years or so, that version of Beast was brought over to the 616 universe. So in the normal canon universe, these two Beasts have existed. But Beast, that is blue, loving, very Kelsey Grammer, nice Beast, has been written where he's kind of soured, his view on humanity and the way that humans treat people, and he has really become a villain. He has slowly and surely become more mad scientist bitter.
Yeah.
And in this story arc, he becomes pretty much straight up evil.
Yeah.
Like dissecting other mutants and friends and colleagues, and it's just maddening.
Yeah.
So these comics are cool. They're an interesting take, but
and I would say just if you want to check this storyline out, the Hellions run from 2020, there's an 18 issue run of Hellions 2020, which focuses on Psylocke and Havoc and a few other kind of smaller characters in a sort of mercenary position. It's a really interesting way to get introduced to the Krakoa timeline, because it's from characters who are kind of outside the main thing.
Outside of the main.
It feels good. If you're interested, I would check out that Hellions 2020 run.
Yeah, and if you're also interested in kind of catch up, there's a few channels here on YouTube. One of them is the comic historian is a good one that I like to follow. They tends to do 2-hour tellings, right? He'll take a whole run, and then he doesn't read it verbatim, but he kind of just goes through and does voice work and all of that,
highlights
and just kind of tells you the story of Krakoa, and then or all of this. And so you can kind of watch one of those long videos to kind of catch up, and then he leaves you at the end with an issue that you can then jump on. So it's a good way to jump on to a comic story. Cool. So my point to all of that has been that the X-Men are now kind of getting this Marvel time, and with Beast introduced in the Marvels, which is now on Disney Plus, by the way. And have you noticed that everyone's like, "Oh, Marvels is a great movie," and I'm like,
I haven't watched it yet. I gotta watch it.
I'm like, yeah, now you think it's good? You didn't think it was good when it was in the theater? Oh, wait.
Well, now that Madam Web is out.
Wow.
And people are they're like, maybe I want to go watch Marvels instead.
But so mutants exist now, and so we now have a whole new thing. We now have a better introduction to the X-Men with the new trailer for Deadpool 3, which dropped right here during the Super Bowl. And man almighty, that I haven't been hyped for a Marvel project in a while. Pull this up,
because I have not watched it yet.
Oh, good.
I watched Deadpool 1 and liked it. I did not watch Deadpool 2.
Really?
I did not get to go onto it. I like Deadpool fine, and I liked Deadpool 1 as a movie quite a lot, but I'm so annoyed with Deadpool fans that like I just didn't want to be near the discourse.
But I think
I need to go back and watch Deadpool 2 because I'm sure it's good, and I liked Deadpool 1. I'm sure I'll like Deadpool 2. So
yeah, just like everything, the fandom will ruin everything, right? And
I know that's why I'm a lonely old man, right? Like it's because I can't do fan shit.
yeah, no, I get it. You don't have to explain it to me. I get it. The fan like it's me being a fan of Steven Universe and then going, hey guys, you like Steven Universe? Oh, why? Oh no, why no? So yeah, Deadpool fans just are interesting. But that said, though, I think the character. What's so funny about them being fans of Deadpool is that Deadpool's a parody in himself. Like, it's almost like Rick and Morty fans, where everyone thinks they're Ricks, but they're not. They're all Mortys. Pedro used to say that. Everyone's a Morty. No one's ever a Rick, and everyone's like, oh, I love Rick, and I'm like, you're missing the point. You're not supposed to like Rick.
Yeah.
Deadpool's kind of the same way. You're not supposed to like Deadpool. He's just Deadpool. He's fun, but you're not really supposed to like him.
You can like Deadpool, but like aspiring to like be Deadpool like in the same way with Rick.
Deadpool doesn't want to be Deadpool. Like that's his point. That's his shtick.
Yeah.
So let's check this trailer out. And again, you can see part 2. Part 2 is great. Go check it out. If you have time this weekend or whatever, just drop it. It's a great movie. Definitely higher budget than the first one because the first one really makes fun of that. Like, hey, it's like, where is everybody? How come I only got this one mutant? And like in the background, I love that.
Yeah, and it was
playing the fourth wall.
Yeah, I guess Sonic Warhead or whatever.
All right, okay.
It's been a challenging few years, for sure. But I'm happy. That's because of each and every one of you. I'm the luckiest man alive.
Make a wish, buddy.
I love Marina Baccarin.
Wade Wilson?
Who's asking?
The TVA, baby.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Is that supposed to be scary? Pegging isn't new for me, friendo, but it is for Disney.
Mr. Wilson, you appear to have soiled yourself while unconscious.
This is good casting.
I wasn't unconscious. Who are you?
I wasn't unconscious. He soiled himself, but he wasn't conscious.
Walk with me. Wade, you are special. This is your chance to be a hero among heroes.
I smell what you're stepping in, Sensei. Your little cinematic universe is about to change forever. I'm the Messiah. I am Marvel Jesus.
Is that the 20th Century Fox logo?
Yeah, please.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
God, I love this part. Wait!
You don't just stand there, you ape. Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
I love that Hugh Jackman can't stay away.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Look, man, like...
What's up, Rolls?
Rolls, thank you for joining us. Yeah, man, like, this is a movie where... now that we've got X-Men and Fantastic Four underneath the Disney belt,
which we didn't even talk about the Fantastic Four casting news.
Yeah. That was announced yesterday, which was interesting. Now that we've got Fantastic Four and X-Men underneath the Disney belt, that means that they now have bigger names again, bigger heroes to use. Because Marvel really kind of kind of used up their big names.
Well, and they also made big names out of things that weren't big. Like Iron Man was not anyone's S tier hero before.
He wasn't, but he also was a founder member of the Avengers. So like when you talk about but you're right. You're 100% right. Yep. Iron Man was a Marvel favorite. He wasn't a name. He wasn't a he wasn't Spider-Man. Right. Yeah. There you go. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But then he became Spider-Man. Exactly. Like for God's sakes, like I've never seen
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey, the power of Robert Downey Jr., the power of his acting, the power of like the movie, the
Jon Favreau,
armor, Jon Favreau, all of that made it a franchise and a hero that people wanted to care about. Even though in the comic books, he was written as a giant dick. And like, I mean, that's just Tony Stark. So like, it's interesting how they've had to like backpedal a little bit on the comic to kind of make him a little more likable. But
it's also just like Robert Downey Jr. is good as a dick. Like he's a dick that you want to like. Yeah. But no, to your point, like they now are bringing in this stable. I don't think you're the only one that felt that way, man. Like I had, but like I was a kid who had read some comics, like when I was a kid. If
Iron Man.
Comics, Iron Man's not on your radar.
Well, when you grew up, right? If you want to talk about like the 90s, and we just talked about the 97 cartoon of X-Men, you had the X-Men cartoon, you had your Spider-Man cartoon. And both of those franchises were owned by Fox.
You were more likely to know who Jubilee was than Iron Man.
I mean, everyone knows who Dazzler is, but you didn't know, like, but Iron Man did have a comic. I mean, did have a cartoon for a while in the 90s, but it wasn't on the Fox network. It was like in syndication through the Marvel Power Hour, and you had Iron Man, you had Hulk, you had a few other cartoons, but they didn't cross over. So again, my point is like he didn't have the name recognition, the power, the action figure,
and now
a big deal.
We're getting X-Men and Fantastic Four stuff back in, and that is X-Men especially is such a huge well.
You have a pantheon of heroes to pull from.
So I've got to say, like, I've been kind of out of the MCU for a little while now. I think like the last MCU movie I like went and saw in theaters was Shang-Chi. And
I
that's a while ago.
Yeah.
And it's not like I don't have any real reasons for that other than like after the Avengers Endgame, I was like, all right, I feel like I'm done with this. I watched like Scarlet Witch, the TV show, and I loved it up until like the last couple episodes. And I just was struggling with Marvel's approach to storytelling in these movies.
It also has a lot to do with the fact that like I felt like they got so big so fast with the end of Endgame that they really didn't know where to go after.
Yeah, it was like it was almost like in Magic the Gathering where you get power creep, right? Like they had a power creep problem. And I think like, but X-Men, I love X-Men.
Yeah.
X-Men was always my jam. I've always loved X-Men. The reason I watched superhero movies was because of that first X-Men movie. And the reason I read comics was because of the X-Men comics. Like I love Wolverine and Cyclops. And if we are bringing that in, and if it is good, I am here. I cannot wait for more good X-Men material.
And right then and there, Daniel, you're talking about something that we talked about earlier, where like here's a character that a lot of people didn't care about unless you were a comic fan. You really didn't even know who Moon Knight was.
Yep.
Most people were just like, what is he, just like Marvel Batman? I'm like, yeah, he's a little more complicated than that, but I could see where you could get that from. And now people are like, Moon Knight, oh hell yeah, and I'm like, okay, cool. Daredevil, people were like, Daredevil, who's Daredevil? Like, and then he had a series and all that kind of stuff outside of just being a Ben Affleck movie. Longest time.
Yeah, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner.
So Marvel has had a way to pull some of these characters that are lower tier comic characters up to franchise status, where you're getting multiple sequels. That's cool. But again, their big pillars have been Avengers, Fantastic Four, and X-Men and Spider-Man. Those are four of the big like pillars within the Marvel universe, and everything's always an offshoot of that.
Yeah.
Hulk is an offshoot of the Avengers, where Fantastic Four and Reed Richards was always kind of the science side, and then you had the common man, fighter, which was Spider-Man, and then that's where Kingpin came into play, where Daredevil and all that would show up. So all of these characters were linked to those names, and Disney didn't control a big chunk of their own like pillar franchise under the Marvel. So now that they do, we now have an official full casting. We had already had the casting for Pedro Pascal, as Reed Richards, but yesterday,
which by the way, shout out to John Krasinski for a very brief starring role. That's Reed Richards. Sorry, bud.
I mean, from my understanding, he said that he only wanted to play it once.
Yeah.
That's from what I heard. He only wanted to play it once, and apparently his wife said don't do it because she doesn't like. Emily Blunt's not a fan of superhero movies, so she's like, don't
Emily
do
Blunt.
It's Emily Blunt for you, whatever. So my point here is that this was announced, and yeah, man, like, can we talk about this casting here?
Yeah, let's get into it.
So first off, that's a really cool picture. I really
love the way they announced it. That's very cool.
The good Valentine's Day picture. So first off, let's talk about this picture alone. One, there is the actor's picture that is playing Ben Grimm as the astronaut before he becomes the thing. Another thing we're noticing here is that we've got Herbie the robot.
Oh yeah, good call. Yeah.
So we've got Herbie the robot. If you're not familiar with who Herbie is he was in the comic book. He's also known for being one of the members of the Fantastic Four when the Fantastic Four was an animated show, and they didn't want to have Johnny Storm in the cartoon because they didn't want kids lighting themselves on fire.
Sure.
So for a long time, there was a cartoon, Fantastic Four, that was Ben Grimm, Herbie, Sue Storm, and Reed Richards. And so, yeah, that's the reason why Herbie's here. So that's cool that they brought him in. That's a cool little back to the old. Yeah, I'm really hoping that this card, this aesthetic, is where they're going. Are you noticing that?
It's an interesting take, right?
So
it's very different from the rest of Marvel right now, the rest of MCU. It's got a very it reminds me almost of that Vision comic run, the relatively recent Vision comic run that's very suburban.
Right. So very I want to bring that in. Look at this. So one, it's got a very 50s, 60s sign. I mean, look at the white boots.
Yeah.
The white boots and the
it's very wholesome.
Very Venture Brother speed, like Johnny Quest.
I think I like it as long as it's not ironic. I don't want another ironic.
I don't think they'll go that route. I think
I want it to be sincere.
Wes Anderson's Fantastic Four, that would be interesting. Yeah,
I mean, on that note, if you've never watched what's his name? There's a film, Patrick Willems. He does a lot of film criticism on YouTube. He's very, very good. But a few years back, back in 2015, he did If Wes Anderson Directed X-Men, and that video is very good. Highly recommend you check it out.
Gotta check that out.
But no, I'm with you. This is very 50s, very wholesome, kind of family Fantastic Four, which could not be more different than the last two times we saw the Fantastic Four.
Right. This feels like they pulled maybe one of the WandaVision universes, one of the wholesome universe. That universe she created was the universe where Fantastic Four existed. And so let's pull from that. And again, we know that they're going to have to write this as a multiverse thing, right? This is the only way you can make it so that these heroes exist now, because again, then you're going to run into that Eternals problem.
Sure.
Or wait a minute, you've had these gods on this planet the entire time, but none of them decided to hop in and help once during the Thanos scenario. So with Daredevil being a thing that's coming, back, and Deadpool 3 showing up being kind of a multi-universe hopping character that's probably going to be cleaning up the timeline is kind of what I'm feeling that they're getting. I don't know what they're doing with him, but that's what it feels like to me. It almost feels like a Deadpool kills the Marvel universe in a way.
I think that's what that trailer felt like to me. It was it was heading in that direction.
Hey, TVA, Deadpool, we need you. We like you. You're special. You see the fourth wall. I think we're going to hire you, and you go in and clean up some of this weirdness.
Yeah. No, I agree. My only complaint about this casting is that they did not have the cojones to recast Chris Evans as Torch. I just think that would have been
let's talk about that
incredible move.
Who is it? Oh, that would have been great, right? But wouldn't it be great if we had a multiverse cameo of Chris Evans as
I'm sure we'll get something like that. I'm sure Chris won't say no to that money.
That would be gret. So again, it's Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, and then we've got Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, And Vanessa Kirby.
So if you're not familiar with Vanessa Kirby, she's really, really good. So she was most recently in Napoleon, the new Ridley Scott film with Joaquin Phoenix. And
I know her from Mission Impossible. She's the doctor, the spouse of.
So she's got her action chops because she was also in Hobbs and Shaw, which was like another big like action piece as well. So she was like, she's got her action chops. But then she was also in Pieces of a Woman in 2020, which was like an incredibly intense like drama. She's good.
Yeah.
She's a huge
she's good. She's a great. She's the blonde hair, blue eyed Sue Storm. So you're gonna get that.
She reminds me of like when they cast Elizabeth Olsen. Like Elizabeth Olsen had so much cred in like the sort of indie drama space, and she really brought that to that role. Like she was so good at Scarlet Witch. She brought a ton. And I'm hoping for like kind of the same here.
Yep. And then we've got Ebon. What is it? Ebon Moss. Is it Evan? Evan?
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce that? So
like the Ebon Hawk in Knights of the Republic.
Okay. Yeah. So he's playing the ever loving, blue eyed Ben Grimm.
Yeah.
And I think he works out, man. Like he's definitely got the blue eyes for sure. I mean, I think he's in The Bear, right?
Yeah. No, I don't know if he's actually. He looks a lot like the guy from The Bear. Is he the guy from The Bear? He is. No, the guy from The Bear.
He's not the guy from The Bear. He is in The Bear. I know that.
He's like the other guy. He's also in Andor. He's in a couple of episodes of Andor.
Okay.
As well, and then I think he was also in the Netflix Punisher, which is interesting. So this won't be his first time with Marvel.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Okay. But yeah, that's his face. I mean, obviously you're not going to get much of that. You might see him at the very beginning before he turns into the Thing. I'm wondering if they're going to use his newer power set of Ben Grimm. So if you're not familiar with, again, the newer power set of Ben Grimm is that Ben Grimm over the years, Reed Richards has fixed him a little bit. He's never been able to like fix him, but he gives him so that he's allowed to be. He reverts back to Ben Grimm 1 week. Was it 1 week a year or 1 week a month?
So it's like certain takes on the Hulk, right? Where like Banner is able to like
right, and it allows Ben Grimm to kind of live a normal lifestyle. But there's this really great comic where Ben only ages when he is in his human form.
Oh, interesting.
So when he's as the Thing, he's immortal. So there is this comic where Reed Richards and like he's talking, he time travels like 4,000 years in the future, and he gets to see the death of Ben Grimm, who's been alive for the longest. And the only other person there is Franklin, who is his son, who is already kind of like this omnipotent power person that's immortal as well. So, but yes, so that's a really cool take. It's a really cool one-shot comic story of Ben Grimm. But yeah, you should go check it out. But my point is like I think this is a good actor. I think this is a good face for Ben Grimm. I never had a problem with the last casting of Ben Grimm, who was what was his name from
I didn't see the last Fantastic Four movie.
Not the last one, but the first two.
Okay.
Michael Chiklis.
Chiklis. That was it.
Yeah.
Who is the Shield guy, right?
The Shield guy. Yeah, the guy from the Shield. So I mean, he was definitely like the New York like Ben Grimm. It really fits. So it's a good. I have no problem with this casting. Also, I'm not going to call these people unknowns because I don't think they're unknown.
I mean, compared to Pedro Pascal, the three rest of them are definitely a lower profile.
They're definitely lower profile, but they've got their acting chops in some movies that aren't like typical big fanfare. And then of course we've got the last casting was Johnny Storm.
So this is interesting, right? Because I feel like he's the one with the lowest profile in the highest charisma, like kind of role, right? Like Storm or not Storm, sorry. Torch has to like shine.
I mean, the last my favorite role he's been in is with Stranger Things.
Yeah.
So like you've got him as who did he play in Stranger Things?
Eddie Munson.
He played Eddie, right? Yeah, he played Eddie. So like I was trying to think of his name. But man, Eddie, what a great character on the newest season of and there he is. I mean, he is now going to play Johnny Storm, which is interesting because Johnny Storm is such a jock.
Yeah.
Well, like it's hard to see this guy as the as kind of the jock.
Yeah.
Person.
I mean, it's interesting too because like between I mean, it's clear they're taking some different takes on these characters, at least from what we've seen on screen before. Because like Pedro Pascal is also not like the kind of like prototypical Reed Richards, right? Like,
right. Well, he's not.
Reed Richards is such a square.
He's such a
square, and like Pedro Pascal has this really effortless.
He's sliced white bread.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I mean, Reed Richards is 100%. So now you've got this like, hey, we've got Pedro Pascal, the Latin guy. So already you already see that kind of talk online. I'm like, what does it matter? He's a scientist. Like, what does it matter? If he stretches, he's Reed Richards. Just like, come on. Like, kind of, yeah, I can see that. But
he's definitely the it guy right now, for sure.
He is the it guy right now, but that's only because he's got the charisma. Like he's so fun to watch on screen. Yep. Like he really like you can tell he's having fun in every role he's in.
I feel like Pedro Pascal is like if Keanu Reeves could act. Like I love Keanu Reeves. He has one character, and that's why we love him. We love him for that one character. Pedro Pascal is if Keanu Reeves could do other things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's such a good dude. Everyone loves that dude.
Everyone loves that dude. I love him. So like, I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see his take on the, I'm also like, you know, to be fair, I'm glad that I'm not seeing the typical white dude again as Reed Richards. I mean, like people can complain, but like, it's not like we haven't had two other white guys play Reed Richards before, right? Like I can't even, who was the actor as the Reed Richards in the first one, in the first two movies?
In the first one. So the first one, that was the guy, he was, so I always think of that guy because he was in that like drama about getting rid of slavery in England that was super popular in churches for a while. I always think of him in that movie. Shoot, what was his name?
I'm trying to think of it. Yeah. It was
Ian Grufford, is that it? Yeah, Ian Grufford or Owen Grufford. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Yeah, it's Lone Grufford. It looks like a lowercase L, but it is a capital I. I'm pull him up real quick, just so he was in like
Titanic, right? Like he's like a bit player that shows up and stuff, and then he was like cast as Reed Richards, and I thought he was a fine Reed Richards, but
yeah, he's totally fine. It's just like it's such a like if you look at this guy, I mean, like we kind of. You wanted a guy that looked like Reed Richards. This is the guy that we got.
That's the guy.
And
yeah.
Like I mean, you can't complain. Like this guy, you give him white temples and it's freaking Reed Richards. Like I've got no freaking. I'm trying to pull up a clean picture of him. Oh, for God's sakes, how many clicks do I have to go through? Open and a new tab. Thank you. Give me the big picture of him. There we go. Google.
He played like Lancelot in that King Arthur movie with freaking shoot, what's her name? Keira Knightley, like from back in like the 2000s. Yeah, so there's our man. That's I
mean, like I said, man, you just take white, you know, a little bit of powder right there, and boom, you got Reed Richards. That's Reed Richards. It worked. We got 2 movies with him, but that's it.
You know what he was famous for? He was Horatio Hornblower in like the long-running Horatio Hornblower like British like TV series that adapted.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Which is the most white dude British thing you can do. Like it is the most.
So that's one white guy, and then so who was the next one? So the next one was Task 4 Tick. That's the movie. What was the name of that movie?
Yeah, I did not see that one. I skipped that one.
It's the 2015 version, and that one starred
Miles Teller.
Yeah, was it Miles? Yeah, it was Miles Teller. So that guy was definitely the more schlumpy version of Reed.
Well, and by all accounts, that dude is a huge dick.
Is he? I don't.
Yeah.
Is he? Yeah. So I mean,
he sucks.
He's got like a weak chin and totally like. I mean, look at this guy.
This for Miles Teller. Whiplash, whipped ass. That's a good movie. He's in it. He's great. But yeah, this was not a win.
But I mean, like there we go. We had another dude play another white dude play and then the final casting for Reed Richards was Jim Halper. John Krasinski. So like although you know casting an Asian in that role was kind of great. I had no idea that we'd go that reverse for them.
No, he's in the Ant-Man movies.
Oh, that's right. It goes God and War Dogs though. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he was good in that. He was great in War. He's a good actor. To be clear,
he's a good actor.
War Dogs and Whiplash are both incredible movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of he's like an Ansel Elgort. You know what I mean?
So I guess at this point, I'm like, I don't care who plays him. Just give me a good Reed Richards that's likable. Because honestly, I thought the casting for, besides John Krasinski, because he was only in the movie for a couple minutes before he just got like completely obliterated, right? My point here is that like, give me a likable character, and Pedro Pascal is likable. So give me one good pillar actor, and then the other ones can all be unknown, and there we go.
So
I had no problem with Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm. I don't think many people did. I thought it was a good casting.
What a waste, though.
Yeah, what a waste for a terrible movie. Like,
I'm not, of all like the big Marvel heroes, Fantastic Four is the one I've had probably the least attachment to. Like, I would never read the Fantastic Four comics really. I didn't enjoy any of the movies. There's nothing really about their dynamic that like jumps out at me immediately. It's like, oh, I want to get more of that. Like
they're they're old school Marvel. They're Marvel before Marvel. They are 30s Marvel. They are 1940s Marvel.
What would a good version of like a 2024 or 2025 Fantastic Four be? Like, what is that for you?
Man, so like, what's interesting is we've had a lot of takes on Fantastic Four, and without it being Fantastic Four, like for example, we had the Impossibles, right? The movie. We had the Disney Pixar movies, you know. Mr. Incredible. We've had Mr. Incredible, the Incredibles, Incredible Impossible, Incredibles, the Incredible family. That family, the entire like family dynamic is Fantastic Four. I mean, that's what it was without it being Fantastic Four. And then if you're a fan, like I'm a big fan of the Venture Brothers.
Okay.
You know, the very much a parody of the old like Johnny Quest cartoons and whatever. And they have always really played and riffed on that like 60s science dynamic of like Johnny Quest and the old Fantastic Four and all that kind of stuff. And so they've had some funny takes on it as well. I think we really got to play the science side of it. Make them scientists first before heroes.
Interesting.
I think if you make them the science pillar, because I mean, if you really think about what Reed Richards is in the Marvel universe, in the comic Marvel universe, Reed Richards is a giant scientist who has a tower in the middle of New York, and other heroes will go to Reed Richards when it's a problem that just is too complicated. Like,
I feel like he's Doctor Strange for science.
Right. Like he's a guy that's like, I'm too busy in like the quantum universe right now, dealing with problems with like a domestic problem with like
I'm
a
keeping Goliath off your back. Like, can we?
That's him. And as that, and also you have an amazing, and I have to reemphasize this, Disney, don't fuck this up. You have an amazing moment to introduce a true Marvel villain. Dr. Doom.
Yeah, with Doom. Yeah. Yep. Which we don't have casting news on that, do we?
We don't, but do not squander it.
Doom's
Dr.
huge.
Dr. Doom, you are talking a multi-tiered human villain that isn't cosmic, doesn't have some sort of god deity. He is a human genius that is also diplomatic immunity, owner of his own country, like Latveria. You get to like create a whole dichotomy of like having a country that exists within the Marvel universe that he runs. He's untouchable in his own country. He is the sovereign of a country, but at the same time, he is a villain, and not just a villain to one, a villain to the Marvel universe.
And then with all the news about Jonathan Majors and Kang dropping out, I mean, I feel like Doom is definitely a villain that can be a villain, like
Doom and go hand in hand. There are multiple stories where they have swapped roles or worked together.
I know, like, the rumors around that casting have been interesting. Like, I've heard like Fassbender's name tossed around, which would be weird because he's already been a Magneto, so I don't see that actually happening.
Yeah, I've also heard don't squander him from Magneto. Give us him as Magneto again one more time.
Yeah, he was amazing as Magneto.
Amazing as Magneto, absolutely.
And then I've also like seen freaking Javier Bardem like mentioned, which he's amazing. He's not remotely Latvian, but like, I mean,
what is Latvian, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a country that doesn't exist. So like,
can be menacing. Like he can be menacing.
Man, give me his role from
Skyfall.
Skyfall. Give me the Skyfall version of Bardem in a mask. Oh my
That's
god,
terrifying, dude. Or the Anton Chigurh version of like Bardem when things get serious. Like, come on, that'd be good.
Oh, good. That's a Doom. Give me that as Doom.
Yeah.
And don't make him a one-off villain. Don't make him a villain where he's just like, oh, curse you, Richards,
Like
and make him
quick dunked on and then
no. Make him a villain that actually resonates and make him a pillar and a reason for the Marvel universe. Make him someone aware. I mean, he is a character in the Marvel universe where he is aware of the Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah. He can wear the Infinity Gauntlet. He has worn it. You're talking about a human that can wield the Infinity Gauntlet. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Right there. Like that is Thanos level villain. Don't waste him, Disney.
And in a more grounded way, right? Like my problem with like Kang and then my problem with like Thanos where he ended up and where do you go from here is just like how sort of cosmically big and like mushy these villains end up feeling. Doom can feel more grounded than that. He can
Doom
feel
is like my
first
country
Avengers.
is my country. I want to run it with an iron fist. I'm kind of fascist, but yet my people love me.
He's got some of that Red Skull vibes from like Captain
He
America.
does, right? But he's also like he also isn't a minority. Like I mean, he's a minority in itself. Like he doesn't hate he's not like a fascist racist version. He's just like a very like I run everything with an iron fist. He's a fascist in his own way, not like the weird Nazi concentration camp way, but like in a like I'm going to murder you if you don't listen to my rules.
I own the means of production, and I'm
totally 100%. Very Stalin-esque, I guess, would be more of a way for him. Totally. So he's just a really good grounded Earth villain. He is a villain that isn't like somewhere in the clouds that is untouchable, and we're like, where is Thanos? Where is no? Doom is sitting in Latveria right over there. He's there and he's untouchable. Why? Because he's like, by the rule of law and man, we can't.
Don't you also feel like he's such an interesting villain to introduce in the absence of Iron Man, like as a character in the MCU? That's so. Damn, I'm liking this. Hey, so if Phil Spencer is watching this, can we also get our boy, freaking Kevin Feige, in here? Hey, these are some ideas.
Just saying, man. I'm just saying, awesome. Doom is a great villain. He's a villain that everyone knows. I mean, if you're like a Marvel even fighting game, everyone knows who Dr. Doom is. So Dr. Doom has got name recognition, and he's a power character. Don't waste him, Marvel. He's now yours. He's in your stable, and if this Fantastic Four movie doesn't introduce him properly, we've got problems.
Yeah.
So. I'm gonna end it. We're gonna end the show there, folks. I think we went on
we talked a lot about comics these past 2 episodes.
I like it, but I'm okay with it.
We've gone hard into it.
I'm okay with it, folks. This is why it's the Mid-Geek crisis, not just video games. We like talking about everything. But yes, go check out the Comic Historian on YouTube if you're interested in kind of catching up on some of these stories. If you are just a fan of the movies and are unfamiliar with some of these, go check that channel out. It's a way for you to kind of click and watch some of these like stories from the DC universe, from the Marvel universe. They've kind of wrapped up a lot of these stories and these arcs. Go check out some of that Krakoa stuff. I guarantee you we're going to get some sort of like talk about that within these new movies and explain where these mutants are, because it's interesting that now mutants are part of the DCU or the MCU.
Yeah.
Where this goes. And it's exciting time for the MCU. What has felt very like you said, very mushy, very like these villains are like, I don't know where we're going with this. What's going on? With the introduction of something like Fantastic Four and X-Men and strong brand recognition, I think we're looking, the future looks bright for MCU.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. All right, folks, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us on a Thursday night. If you like, also go check out, you're going to do more streaming. What game did you play?
So I streamed a couple hours of Chants of Sonar last Saturday. Had a great time on the stream. People were helping out. It was a blast. The full stream is up on YouTube. You can check it out there. I'm hoping to stream again this Saturday. I've been trying to like shoot for around 6-ish. I'll put it out on socials when I do. But that's been great. Had a lot of fun with it. Want to keep doing it.
Yep. And again, you were I mean, I'll just kind of share it real quick. So you played a little bit of, here we go. Boop, 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 boop. So that was you on the stream doing it. So it is up on YouTube.
All right.
It is on YouTube and all that. So go check it out. Go check out. That was an interesting game. I only got a little bit of it. I was busy but I was hopping in, just kind of watching it a little
it's
bit.
like a little language puzzle game. There's a lot.
Yeah,
of,
no,
like,
it was
really
cool.
Chewy stuff in there. It was
cool.
No.
So that and more of that is happening. Also, I put out a video yesterday, went live on this bad boy right here.
That was cool.
Went through 40 minutes of showing of this really cool thing. I'm loving it. And the reason why it's so great is that bad boy. That like there's so many of these handhelds that just like falter with the D-pad. This thing so good. So good.
All right. This is a family show, my guy.
Yeah. So yeah, go check that video out. If you're interested in a handheld like that, it's just like a 30+ minute video of me kind of showing all the games that can run on it. And it's actually on sale. You can pick it up for about $70 and it'll play all of if you're interested in a little handheld to play games on. But all right, folks, thank you for spending your Thursday night. Go hit like on some of those videos and streams. Go check out our Twitch. Go create some clips on the stuff, and that'll help us out. But we're here every Thursday, and we'll be back next week. Thank you so much. Yep, go for it. What?
I was just gonna say, I'm not going to be. I'm going to be out next couple weeks.
Yeah, so will you be out next week, right? Next week is the first week that you'll be gone?
Next Thursday morning. So this is my last
real
show
quick,
for a
just
few
tell them
weeks.
where you're going.
So I'll hit in Japan for a few weeks. I'll be broadcasting some, I'll get some clips over.
Yeah.
We'll get some pictures, get some good content.
I'll make sure you have access to all of that to throw up some channel stuff.
I'm hitting Tokyo, Kyoto, Kanazawa, and Osaka. So we're going to be doing a good 17-day run. So the next couple weeks it'll be Joe, you'll be there, but
no, that's okay. I'm excited. Now, again, I don't want you to tell me much more than like what you're spending and all that. But like, how was the planning for a trip like this? What was the like?
It was interesting. It was good. I mean, and we were
able to go through like a travel company, or did you?
Nope, we did it all solo. And honestly, we did. I'll brag on my wife for a little bit, but like she's a wizard with the credit card points, and so we got free flights from here to Tokyo. So we did not pay for flights. And we did really well on the housing situation too. So it makes it a lot easier.
Wow, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh man, that's
yes, sir.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because that is not a cheap trip. I've seen the tickets. They're like $2,000, I think.
Oh yeah. And what makes it even crazier is we're flying out of Syracuse airport.
Yeah, because you're talking about it's a connection flight. So you're going from like Syracuse to one of the bigger hubs. So is you going to New York?
So it's Syracuse, then we're hitting Detroit, and it's a straight flight from Detroit to Tokyo. So it's like a 14.5-hour flight.
Direct from Detroit to Okay.
That's what we're doing.
That's just, man, I am so excited to see pictures.
Yeah, I'll bring lots of reports. If you've got questions or requests or things you want me to keep an eye out for, please let us know in our socials.
There's one thing. I'll send you info on what I'm looking for. One thing for sure. All right, folks. Thank you so much. I'll be back next week while he's out, and I will stream and we'll talk some more. But I'm super excited and pumped to see some pictures and some video from this place. All right, everyone. Take care. Be kind. Another episode in the can.
Have a good night, everybody.